Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Well, we're going to talk about the new acting Inspector General of Police. That was a surprise in the sense that the former, Inspector General of Police, he was into a 3-month extension and just 2 months and a few days. In fact, according to newspaper reports, while he was, over in Imo State looking at the trouble, the situation over there, word came through that, thank you very much, and we now have a new Inspector General of Police. I'm talking about Baba Alkali, the new acting Inspector General of Police. Okay, so we'll talk about that, the task that he's inheriting, what is expected of him. It looks, in our country, the police, you can't envy them their job. It's one of those very, very difficult jobs. So much is expected of them. And the new Inspector General of Police, he'll be inheriting everything that the former chiefs had, yet he'll be expected to do great. Indeed, he very well might do great. But just before all of that, let's take this package and find out a bit more about our new Inspector General of Police, Adamu. I beg your pardon, the new Inspector of Police, Baba Alkali.
Imo State and ordered the use of overwhelming force against IPOB, who has been blamed for attacks on the custodial center and the police command. But Mohammed Adamu will be returning to Abuja as a former Inspector General of Police following the appointment of Usman Alkali to the role of acting Inspector General.
Section 7, subsection 2 of the Nigeria Police Act 2020, and having regard to seniority, professionalism, record of service, and competence, Mr. President has approved the appointment of an acting AIG, an acting IGP in the person of Usman Alkali Baba, PSC, FDC, with immediate effect. These changes are in line with the determination of Mr. President to rejig the security architecture of the country to ensure that security of challenges bedeviling the nation are brought to an end.
Sources at the force headquarters say the announcement of the change of guard came as a surprise to Mohammed Adamu, who was barely 2 months and 5 days into the 3 months extended tenure.
At the right places for them to be able to do the job.
The 20th Indigenous Inspector General of Police, who was appointed to the position on January the 15th, 2019, is a revered international police officer who held several positions at Interpol. His tenure was marred by wild protests against police brutality in October 2020. Usman Alkali takes over the mantle of leadership at a time the country is faced with serious security challenges characterized by banditry and insurgency. Born on March 1, 1963 in Gaidam, Yobe State, the acting IGP enlisted in the Nigeria Police on March 15, 1988. Until his appointment, he was the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Force Criminal Investigation Department at the Force Headquarters. Sifon Asian, TVC News, Abuja.
So there we have it, our first introduction to the latest acting Inspector General of Police. Been a Deputy Inspector General of Police, so he's been very, very much around. And as we've been told, the President, it was a very, very careful selection, taking into account experience and, quite frankly, the kind of things you would expect to be taken into account. And so we now have to get used to Mr. Baba Alkali, Usman, the acting Inspector General of Police. We will be speaking with with people who, are really in that ballpark. We have some friends in there, not necessarily the police, but take NOPRIN, Network on Police Reform. We think of our friend Okechukwu Nwaguma. He's ED, Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center. I understand that, it's still a bit wobbly, our connection. He'll be joining us remotely. But in the meantime, we're going to open the phones actually, because okay. Good morning. Okay, I can see you now. Good morning, Yori Folani here. Can you?
Good morning, Oga Yori. How are you?
Oga, okay, we're very fine. Thank you very much.
I wish I could say Happy Easter, but we lost a friend, Innocent Chukuma.
Oh, indeed. That was a loss. You know. May his soul rest in peace. Talking about Innocent Chukuma, a friend of the house as well, missed by all who worked with him. Now, the Inspector General, the new acting Inspector General of Police, I imagine he won't be a stranger to you, having been in Noprin for so long. What can you tell us beyond what we know already? Because he's been very, very much around. He's been Deputy Inspector General. He's been, heading up organizations that we know about. Give me a sort of, if you want, just a sort of a summary of how you see Mr. Baba Alkali. Well, I was saying that it wasn't very, very stable, so it looks like it might have gone again. Nevertheless, this is a talking point, and so the phones are open, and so you can call in while we sort of get Okechukwu Nwaguma back. He's, as I said, ED, Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center, formerly of NOPRIN. That's a network on police reform. One of the things that Mr. President sort of, put on the table that he would expect the Acting Inspector General of Police to work on is doing everything he could to move police reforms forward. And so it's like he has his work cut out for him. And in our story there, you heard, well, the former Inspector General of Police, it said in the story that his tenure was sort of marred by the End SARS protest. That, if you want, depends on who you are. That came out of nowhere, and it was very, very challenging. But it's part of, the tenure of the last Inspector General of Police. Now we have a new one, an Acting Inspector General of Police, very highly qualified, as to be expected. And we'll see what ideas, what fresh ideas he will be bringing to the table, because I guess that's the name of the game. You got to come in with fresh ideas. The work of policing, the security challenges that we have in the country, alongside all the other security formations, the police will be expected, because it's their primary responsibility anyhow. When it gets a bit tough, a bit out of hand, then of course the military comes in. But as it is at the moment, the state of our security is such that all the service chiefs are involved, and the police is not a small player in all of that. But Samuel, calling in from Kaduna, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. This is Samuel from Kaduna.
Yes. So what do you think? Are you happy about the new Inspector General of Police? It came just before we would have expected it, in the sense that the 3 months extension granted to the former police boss, he was only 2 months and a few days in. What do you think?
I believe I'm with Uncle Yori.
Yori Folani, you are?
Yes. The new IG, or the new acting IG.
Yeah, the new police boss.
In proper context.
Mm-hmm.
He has his job cut out for him. With the issue of NSAS, X-Men, killing here and there, police reform, the question is, what is he going to do different from what the former IG has done? These are questions you should ask. Is he going to reform the police? Is he going to make the police better than what we are experiencing now? These are questions that need urgent answer. Please, for God's sake, we need Nigeria we need to get back to whereby a policeman will say, I'm coming, I'm investigating, and he's investigating. These days, they do things, when a policeman tells you I'm investigating, you lost hope. Thank you and good morning.
Well, indeed, thank you for, calling in. And, well, as I said, okay, you're back. Okay, Juku Wanguma, thank you very much. You're back. ED, Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center. You were just about to, tell us about the new police boss, your impressions. But in the meantime, we got a call in, and he is saying that what is going to be done? What can he do, given the challenges that he's inheriting? What would you say to that? I think it froze again. I think it did freeze again. I think you're okay. Okay, can you hear us?
I'm here.
Okay, carry on, please. Go ahead.
I can hear you.
Go right ahead. You were just about to launch into what you felt.
Well,
carry on, please.
yes. The first thing, Ogayori, my first observation, he willing to break what I would describe as his streak of illegalities. You would notice that there was, when he extended the tenure of the past IGP, you saw the backlash. Everybody, including myself, noted that that was an act of illegality. There is no law, whether the Police Act or the Constitution, that empowers the president to extend the tenure of an IGP who has retired from the Nigerian police. Now, while we are on that, he has just appointed, by the way, the president is out of Nigeria. He's on exile. And we are being told that he has appointed an acting inspector general of police. There is no provision under the law, does not have the power under the law, whether it is Police Act or the Constitution, to single-handedly appoint an IGP. The procedure for the appointment of an IGP is clearly stated in the Police Act, which is signed in 2020. The Police Council must meet and advise the president on the appointment. And we have been told further that the Council of State will sit soon to approve this illegal appointment. The Police Council has no role whatsoever in the procedure for the appointment of IGP as clearly stated in the Police Act and in the Constitution. So everything is one illegality to another illegality. This
okay, it froze again. Well, let me take Mr. Lawale from Ikorodu, and when we can speak again, we'll speak about this, as you put it, illegality, because the Police Affairs Minister, Mohammed Megari Dingyadi, he actually, made this announcement, and, it's a bit difficult to think of ministers involved in illegalities. Got Mr. Olawale in Ikorodu. Good morning, sir.
Yori Folani.
Good morning, sir.
You are hearing me? Yes. I have my own comment, which is different from what you are doing. The last 3 Inspector General of Police appointed by the President, they are from the North. Is it only the Northerners that are fit to be the Inspector General of Police? The President must answer that question. Number 2, the sitting Vice President is around. Okay, he did not travel. It is the Minister of Police Affairs that is announcing the appointment of a new Inspector General of Police. I think that also is not good. Lastly, the new Inspector General of Police, I'm happy from the profile you have shown us that is the DIG in charge of CID, Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department. And everything has broken down in Nigeria. God will help us. God bless you.
Thank you very much. some interesting observations starting out from outright illegality, according to Okechukwu Nwanguma, or at least aspects of it, and then Mr. Olawale from Ikorodu. Okechukwu, we have you back again, so let's give it another shot. Did you hear Mr. Olawale in Ikorodu? Maybe you wanted to add the things, his points to what you were saying. You were talking about all of it not being quite kosher, the whole procedure of coming up with this Inspector General of Police. You say it's not quite kosher. It's not all as you would have expected. But you went as far as illegality. Go ahead, okay? I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, I was making the point that are you hearing me?
Yes. Carry on, please.
Yes, I'm simply saying that the president has breached the Police Act 2020, which established the procedure for the appointment of the Inspector General of Police. The president is out of the country. We have not been told that the Police Council, which is composed of the president, the governors of all the states of the Federation, the 36 states and the FCT, the chairman of the Police Service Commission, and the sitting IGP. This council has not sat to advise the president. We were simply told that the president, who is out of the country, has approved the appointment of an acting Inspector General of Police. This is not what the Constitution says. It's not what the Police Act says. So it is illegal, just as his extension of the tenure of the immediate past IGP was. Of course, that is a matter in court. So this cannot stand. It's an illegality, and I think it's time that Nigerians prevailed on this president to respect the rule of law, to respect the laws that he signed into law, the laws he signed. He cannot continue to break the law. He must lead by example. This is why there is a lot of lawlessness in this country. You remember that the IGP that just left was in Owerri, where he was threatening and accusing imaginary enemies of being the ones that bombed the police headquarters in Owerri and freed the prisons. And while the people he's accusing, the APOP says they're not the one, they said they're the ones. When Boko Haram told us that they were the ones that shot down the Air Force helicopter, they said no, we were not the ones. It was an accident. But APOP says we were not the ones, and they said they're the ones. While he was there, they removed him, even when he was yet to reach 3 months that was given to him as extension. So the point is that the president has no power to do what he has done. The police council has not met, and so the procedure has been breached, and it cannot stand.
Okay. That was an interesting sentence. Okay. I should just Chukwu. And well, actually, we've since been joined by editor of the Nation newspaper, Mr. Daddy Odufowokon. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for fitting us in this morning. Well, you can hear some of the comments that are coming. How do you see it? Quite frankly, that comment right there, it's also allied to that comment is something that came in from Ikorodu as well. What would you say to all of the above? The
appointment of
the
acting.
Yes.
The last speaker appears to have an idea of what goes on in my mind. Let's start with the outgoing IG. He had an extension that is still being contested in court. Now, he has been fired with no input from the Police Service Commission. What does the book say? That is 1. 2. Now we have an acting Inspector General from the blues, the way it is, because it's dramatic. The president is not even at home.
It's quite dramatic. Was he fired? Because very little, if anything at all, has been said about his removal. In fact, what has been spoken of is the appointment.
So he has been fired. You won't have a new man if the old man is not gone.
And it's just 2 months and a few days into the 3 months.
You understand? So if you had to use 3 months and you end up leaving before, it simply means you were sacked. So the powers to hire and fire doesn't rely solely with Mr. President. These are the explanations some people are seeking, and these are reasons why some people are in court. Now, my own worry is we will just be moving from one alleged, I want to be careful, illegality to another alleged illegality. Now, if we have a sitting IG, be it acting or permanent, whose position is being contested, in my opinion, we don't have a man who will have all the attention to give to his job. That is one. Two, we must begin to set the record straight. This is what the president can do. Nobody is contesting the fact that he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. But when it comes to appointments like this, what are the procedures? Does the president have to defer to any other body? Are there inputs into such appointment from any other organs of governance? If there are, why don't we just patiently, if we could wait for months before appointing ministers, if we could ignore the cries about the inefficiencies of some officials for years before changing them, why are we in a hurry now? Why can't we just follow those procedures, our own rules, made for us by ourselves? Some of these are also the president's rules.
Okay, and so, somebody also made the point that, wait a minute, Mr. Vice President is very much around.
He's around.
He's not mentioned in all of this.
No, he didn't say anything about this?
At all, for now. Good morning, Mr. Adamo in Ajao Estate, Lagos here.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Nice to, get to you this morning. I've been trying most of the time, and I'm unable to get through.
Okay. Nice.
Really, it's a very good development for the Mr. President to choose a new IG. The problem of the Nigeria police force is too enormous, in the sense that the police, can you imagine, like what happened in the East? There is no smoke, at least to disperse those rioters. There are a lot of things to be done in terms of the security situation in Nigeria.
Okay.
The police are not well taken care of.
Okay.
Every day you hear police are being killed, and nothing is being done on it. The morale of the Nigeria police force has been down. It's only God that will help us in this country.
Well, thank you for calling in, Mr. Adamo from Ajao Estate. He picks on the morale of the police.
And the equipment and the needs of the police.
Exactly. And I believe the president had charged the new acting Inspector General of Police to, focus, as it were, on police reforms and doing everything to bring those reforms to fruition. It's a it's a giant assignment. We've had a series of inspectors general of police, and arguably things haven't changed. And so this is why Mr. Alkali Usman, he's in a very interesting position, because so much is going to be expected of him. But how much can we realistically expect him? Before you answer, I think Reverend Dominic has called in. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Yori, I will speak to you up to 60 seconds to make these 2 points clear. Because we're living on blessed time. By the time, it's low.
The network is playing up today. Reverend Dominic, we've lost you temporarily. I don't know if we have okay. Okay, Chuku, are you still with us, or? Okay, Chuku,
I'm here, sir.
You are still with us?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Aha.
It's just that I cannot hear the others, what the others are saying.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. You should normally be able to hear them. But what do your points about the alleged illegality, we take that contribution. But in terms of, I've also heard it. Somebody was analyzing who was analyzing it and says he says that you go back a fair bit, you find that all of the inspector generals of police in recent times have been coming from the north, and so he's making an issue out of that. But I wanted you to look at what realistic expectations can be in terms of moving the police forward from this new appointment. Give me your thoughts before I come to studio.
Is that for me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Let me first of all, before I answer that, sir, let me tell you that the reason the president does not want to involve the police council, which has the power under the law, to go through the process and advise the president, is because the president has a mindset. He does not want to do the right thing. The man he has just appointed is not among the most senior in the line of succession. He's not among the most senior in the line of succession. He's simply handpicked someone from a particular part of the country. The man who ought to, take over. The mantle falls on the man from the south. And this man does not want to appoint people from the south for anything in this government.
Well,
yes.
Okay,
so having said that, sir, and to go to your question, what I expect,
a lot of speculation. There's a lot of speculation in what you've just said.
It's not speculation.
Well, you just went into the mind of the president and are speaking from inside his mind. You are speaking from inside the mind of the president. You can't have any evidence for that.
No, it's speculative.
That's the speculative aspect.
Can I tell you what? I know those who are in the line of succession.
Okay. Well, hold it there, please. Let me come back to you. In the meantime, Ada from Jos has called in. Good morning, Ada.
Hello.
Hello, Ada. Good morning.
Good morning. You have to change your pattern. Maybe you allow them talk, then you now take calls and then go back to them. That is.
I guess you can't win. Whatever we do, we can't win. But thank you very much.
The problem is not the IG. It's not the appointment of IGs. I make bold to tell you this. The problem for Nigeria is that we have to decentralize the police. I don't know of any country that is practicing a federated unit that has a centralized police. That is the first problem we are having. Until we are kept to having a state police, so that they can now govern some of their government spaces, we are going to have problems. Look at what's happening in Owerri. Now, today, this morning, I heard another breaking news that in the same Imo State, that they have also, attacked another police division office and freed some inmates or whatever. I don't know. So what are we talking about? And then what is happening? Let them look at it from a sociological viewpoint. The federal government should see things from a sociological viewpoint, not telling the army to go after people. Because it's counterproductive. And there shouldn't be double standards. I heard one of the guys say what he said. When Boko Haram said that they were the one that brought down the aircraft or whatever, the jets, they were defending them. That they are not the ones. I thought someone and said they are not the ones. Yes, the other IG that was dismissed was saying that they were insisting that they are the ones. You see, all these double standards is what used to cause problem in Nigeria. Then the way the appointment is done. Somebody told me that the person who is supposed to, I don't know whether it's correct, somebody told me that the person who is supposed to take over is from the south. That's what the person told me. So there all this building of bad blood. For how long will we continue like this in Nigeria? I don't know.
All right, Ada. Thank you very much for calling in, Ada. Let me come back to you, Dari. You've heard the submissions and opinions, even some speculations, because it must be said, Mr. Okechukwu, much as we respect your opinion, you're gonna have to admit that you just crawled into the mind of the president there and started speaking from inside of the president's mind, and there's no way you can back up what you're saying, because you said some heavy-duty things, principally that Mr. President is not interested in appointing anybody from the south. That was a step too far, perhaps. But that's just...
I'll take it from there. I'll take it from there. Yeah, the president just appointed somebody from the north to succeed, as it appears, somebody from the north. But that's not enough reason for us to confirm that the president does not want to appoint somebody from
from the south.
Then talking about, you spoke about the line of succession.
Yes.
I think it's still speculative. The man that has just been appointed is a DIG. So every other person qualified to succeed the outgoing IG are deputy inspector generals of police, not minding the courses they belong to. You know, the difference is always about these are costmates. No, this is a cost behind me and all that. But we have seen scenarios in this country before where a president and even the Police Service Commission leaves DIGs and recommends an assistant inspector general of police to step in as IG. So it is not, while I am not speaking for the president, I am only saying what has just happened is not enough reason to conclude that the Southerners there were sidelined. But whatever the president was thinking, only him can explain what he has just done.
Indeed. Now, how about the other point that that was made, I think also by Okechukwu Nwaguma, to the effect that he's not the most senior. Okay, this is the matter of courses.
It's going to be about courses. And because there is no position or office in between the DIG and the IG. So he is a deputy inspector, though I know that he got promoted a DIG around 2016. Probably there are people who had been DIGs before him, but they are on the same rank.
Now, yes.
Now they are on the same rank. And they are all eligible. But the only issue, the other issue raised is about what are we expecting? What should we expect from him?
Really,
in fairness.
That is the issue.
I want to say, this man has just about 2 years in service. Just about 2 years. By 2023, he should be retiring, all things being equal. So he has about 2 years to go.
Mr. Momo in Maryland. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Yori.
Yeah.
Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for the program.
Thank you.
Uncle Yori, first and foremost, recently, have you been to the police barracks, just the one within the Ikeja here? Have you been there? Have you gone there recently?
I'll have to say no, I haven't.
You've not been there.
Why did you ask?
If you don't mind, this is my number. I can invite you, then you go there. Look, first and foremost, you make people to work, and people have to work based on what they are seeing on ground. If you go to that barracks, animals, even your own chicken will not live in that barracks. That is one. Let's live there. Then here you come, and you think, we have the vice president. We don't know what he's doing. We don't know his role. In a country where we have issues of this kind, where terrorism is the order of the day, where people are being killed every day, you single-handedly pick somebody. When we have councils who are made to pick whoever is being in charge, who is supposed to be in charge. For crying out loud, how long are we going to live like this? You look at it from the other angle of it. The morale of those people, they are human beings. If you are supposed to pick somebody from the south, and you refuse to pick somebody from the south, then you relegate them, then you are not building that thing, because at the end of the day, everybody looks at it at the end of the day, oh, if I get to this place, if I get to the peak, am I not? So they will not want to offer the best service they have. They won't want to do that. We are human beings. How come that all the 3 IGs we've had now, they are from the north? Are you telling us that there's nobody from the south? Then if you go to the east, are you telling us there's nobody from the east that can be marked down close? So kind of loud, how long are we going to live like this, I said, please go back to this. Don't go to this their barracks, where they live, where their children live. Go and see. No,
I now get the point of the question you were asking. And let me go back to Okechukwu, because you didn't get a chance to respond. Okechukwu, if the lines are any better, the network lines, would you like to comment?
I'm hearing you, sir.
Yeah. So please go ahead now, because there was a lot of speculation, quite frankly, in your last submission.
Well, yes. Well, Oga, you may call it speculation, but there is a pattern that has been established, not just with regards to appointment in the police, but generally in the appointment under this administration. But let's move away from that. That fact remains the fact. But with regards to the police, the Police Act 2020 provides for a 4-year single term for whoever is the IGP, to be appointed the IGP. Now, there are those within who are in the line of succession who have up to 4 years. And the police council, if the police council had sat and considered all the available candidates, they probably would have made a different choice. Which is why I'm worried about why a president who is out of the country will be quoted to have approved the appointment of an acting Inspector General of Police. The Police Act and the Constitution do not, do not make provision for that.
Okay.
It makes provision for the appointment of an Inspector General of Police, and the procedure is very clear.
Okay.
That procedure has not been followed, and so long as it has not been followed, it cannot be said to be legal. That is the crux of my argument.
Okay, but you probably also
who have 4 years.
Okay, Chuku, you probably also agree that the president can act from anywhere.
No. The point is that if he cannot be out of this country and the police council will sit. The police council has not sat.
Okay.
The police council cannot sit in his absence. That's my point.
Okay, and I take it.
And the Council of State that is said it's also said that the Council of State will approve. Council of State has no role in the procedure for the appointment of an IGP.
Okay. You know, he is bent on the procedure that we must be procedurally correct, and he feels that there's an infringement there. In fact, Okechukwu started out by saying that quite frankly there was something of an illegality in all of these processes, but then it's the president and the minister and all these people. Well, as you also shaking your head there, you're saying that
I agree with him. I agree totally that the process. I just told you, sir, that even the process of removing the outgoing IG to me is illegal.
It's a bit unclear
because
nothing was said. Exactly.
He has 3 months,
and then
requested for and granted. The president announced to us that his term has been extended by 3 months. Those are sacrosanct words from our leaders. Now, 2 months and some days, he has to go. And nothing was said. What we have just been told is we have a new acting. And don't forget that this issue of always having acting, this acting, that is alien to our constitution. There's no provision for acting IG. But perhaps the presidency is always finding it convenient to play safe with the word acting. Knowing fully well that
objections like this,
you cannot pronounce such a man an Inspector General. It will obviously be against our books. Maybe the word acting helps us to hide for a while, then we'll come and turn around and make it. So my worry here, as I was saying, is here's a man who has just 2 years left in service. Okechukwu also just mentioned that there are people who will probably have 4 years to go. If the Police Service Commission were to make this choice for us, going by our extant laws that says 4 years single term, maybe they will say, oh, look, let's bypass this people who have 2 months. Because I also read through some of the people he's talking about, saying in the line of succession, there's somebody who has 6 months left. 6 months. The other person too has have less number of years than Alkali. So probably, while not speaking for Mr. President and his handlers, maybe these are some of the considerations that should we have another short-lived term or whatever. But be that as it may, even the man with 2 years and the burden that we have on ground as of today, and we are saying, look, go and carry out police reform. It's a task that cannot be achieved in such, because police reform that will make meaning to Nigerians today, sir, must include the talks about police decentralization, must include talks about breaking down the functions of the police hierarchy. It must be in such that the police commissioner in Lagos or Ogun can take action in tandem with the governor of the state. He should be able to say, look, Mr. Governor, we have this challenge, let's do this. And the governor will say, I think we should do this. And he will do it.
Without going to Abuja.
Abuja.
Well,
can this man do all this within the time, even if he gets confirmed?
Well, I'm sure he's going to take on the task, because as a man of uniform, whereas I hear what you said, and I also hear what Mr. Okay has said, and indeed I hear what all the viewers have also called in about. But as a man of, as a man under orders, he's probably not allowed to say that this thing is too big for me. I'm going to have to leave it here. And I want to thank you very much, Okechukwu Nwaguma. Thank you very much for, coming on the program and, sharing your perspectives with us. Really thank you very much for coming on, okay? Okay, we have to... Yeah, okay. Well, I should have determined to mention his name as Okechukwu every time. Okay, I don't know. I'll just take a very quick break. Do I have the time? No, I'll even save time by not taking a break because we have to go on to the other matter. And we have you with us, Dari, because we want to look at that, resident doctors' strike. At this time, we have it at this time, and maybe we also have a package. Let's just take that package. Okay, welcome back. We want to talk about the doctors generally, especially in this time that we're in. One didn't want to hear about doctors going on strike, but the resident doctors, National Association of Resident Doctors, have indeed called a strike. And well, the NMA doesn't seem to be on the same page with them, because if you look at it, Dari, NMA was actually apologizing for in a way for the strike of the doctors. What's that all about? Because you covered that.
I think it's just a way of balance. NMA, in my opinion, Nigerian Medical Association, is how to balance the situation. They on Thursday, the representative of the NLD, the resident doctors, was here, and he made some claims, as I want to call it, genuine as those claims appear. Every other right-thinking person who asks the question the NMA appears to be asking, maybe the timing, why now? That's what I see the NMA saying in that piece.
Why now?
Why now? Yeah, we are not saying the government has been fair.
Or that they are not.
We are not saying that those issues are not genuine, but we are only saying at a time like this, given the kind of assignment, profession, expectations the public have on these doctors, resident doctors, they are actually the frontliners. If they are not in the hospitals, it's as good as nothing is happening. So NMA, like many Nigerians...
And so what NMA is saying, among other things, is that this hazard allowance, what, 5,000, if you translate that into dollars, which probably is not
ridiculous.
Fair.
It might be ridiculous.
So these people are saying that you need to look at this.
Yes. You see, like I said earlier on another program, if we try to take away the demands of these doctors, will be unfair. But the doctors too should begin to look at the implication of this strike, not just on the government or the authorities, on the people. We are talking about public health. We are battling coronavirus. Lassa Viva, recently there was an alert. Some parts of the country should be conscious. Some kind of deaths in Kogi-Kano axis. Still, as of yesterday, the government is saying we are investigating the causes of these deaths. We don't even know what the causes are. If we have such health issues on our hand, and then these doctors legitimately also have concerns, issues about welfare, about payment, about risk being taken, legitimate and genuine concerns. Our worries are these questions, this demand can still be made, maybe at some other time. That is one. Two, this money is outstandings. Okay. They mentioned backlog of this, backlog of that. We're not accrued in just 1 month. We must, the labor generally now in Nigeria, must have this culture of making noise when things happen.
Because of that, let me bring this to Dr. Bilkis Mohammed, who is the immediate past Secretary General of the National Association of Resident Doctors. Good morning, Dr. Mohammed.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Indeed. The resident doctors, what's your understanding of them? Because I think you're in a fine position to do so, you know, having been a past Secretary General. What's your understanding of this time that they have chosen to, as it were, agitate?
Thank you very much for that question. Today is World Health Day, which is a day where healthcare professionals and every stakeholder in the health sector ought to be celebrated. But sadly today, the members of Resident Doctors Association in Nigeria are mourning. We are mourning because we have a dilapidated healthcare system that over decades have not gotten the desired attention. We are mourning because we have members whose families have been put to undue hardship. There are hospitals, federal teaching hospitals in this country, whose doctors have not received a dime this year. Not just the house officers, resident doctors, medical officers. These are various cadre of doctors within the membership of the association. This is not happening for the first time. In 2020, there are still a group of doctors that were employed until this moment have not been paid arrears of 3 months' salaries. March, April, May. University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital is an instance. In all of this, the association has made concerted efforts to reach out to the stakeholders and representatives of the federal government. That is, the Honorable Minister for Health, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Labor, and also the National Assembly. At different times, memorable of it was January 31st, when the National Executive Council had a meeting at Owerri, Imo State. A communique was drafted from that meeting, giving a 60-day ultimatum. Sadly, the representative of the federal government were not seen to do the needful within the 60-day period frame, which the NEC had graciously given, until April 1st, when they started convening an emergency meeting that lasted into the midnight. I think this is good enough for Nigerians to see that while the doctors have, in their own kindness and good spirit and also patriotism to the good people of Nigerians, have ensured that they endured the pains, the suffering, inability to satisfy to meet the requirements for family, inability to meet the requirements for exams because of lack of funds for such exams.
Okay.
While resident doctors have shown this understanding that is uncommon in any other sector in this country, the federal government's representatives have not been seen to do due diligence. And this is appalling on this day.
How would you react to the Nigerian Medical Association apparently apologizing for the action of the resident doctors?
Well, the Nigerian Medical Association can speak for herself in terms of apologizing, but I see no fault here in a man who has labored for 4 months without pay, demanding for his pay.
Well, indeed, I think most people will take that particular point, especially as resident doctors are on the front line. But one moment, doctor, while I see if we still have Mazi on the line. Good morning, Mazi.
Within the compass of moral...
Mazi Okorafo, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still there. I'm still there.
Okay.
There is need for government to pay our doctors. Now, if I have my way, I'll tell the federal government of Nigeria, transfer the monument for security to our health sector. Because our security, there's nothing to write about. Our people are dying day in, day out. Tell me, somebody's working 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, he has not been paid. How do you expect him to take care of his family? How do you expect to pay? How do you expect to move around? Now, if they did not eat well, they will not diagnose very well. That is why you see sometimes when people go to the hospital, they have been diagnosed wrong before you know that that person does not enter the early grave because something you did not plan for because of poor medical treatment and poor government. Look, Nigerian government, whether they like it or not, they must pay our doctors. Transfer security money to health sectors.
Okay, Mazi, I hear you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mazi. Let me, doctors, thank you for staying with us. Let me bring it to Dari. The NMA and NAD are not on the same page, apparently. And I don't know, the resident doctors, they're like the foot soldiers. They're the front line, you know. But their senior colleagues are saying, it gives the impression that they are saying that, look, we're sorry that our colleagues, that this is happening now. But the doctor is saying there, Dr. Bilkis Mohammed is saying there that at the end of the day, distill it, it's into labor and wages. And we have to go to the same market. We also have families, and we're not being listened to. She explained that 60 days before, notice had been served. And what she said was that it only took until the 1st of April before you began to see concerted action. What your thoughts on that?
Listening to Dr. Mohammed, one was able to get some insight.
Yes.
Into, because I was just shortly before she came on, I was going to say this. The NMA for 4 months last year, 2020, yeah, that was last year, negotiated with the federal government, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Labor and Productivity, and the likes, and called off a particular strike. Were these issues that had to do with the resident doctors not factored in?
Indeed.
If they were factored in, why? It's getting me back to the question I had. Is it that in Nigeria, when we get to labor issues, we don't agitate conclusively? We'll come up, we're agitating, and after some, as reporters who follow these things, we always tell them, no conclusion in this resolution. Okay, you just go on, you ask for something,
exactly.
1 or 2 things out of 10 demands are met, then you suspend the strike, only to resume it another day. If the resident doctor's interest, as it were, 5 months, 6 months unpaid backlogs have been taken care of, maybe we won't be here. But not without, even at that, I will only appeal to this resident doctor, maybe just like the NMA is trying to say, look at the timing, consider public health, because if you call up this strike eventually...
We've completely run out of time, but I want to give the last word to Dr. Bilkis Mohammed. You heard that, Dr. Mohammed. What do you think of that sort of appeal? That, look, it comes down to appeal again. What do you think? Thank
you very much. There cannot be a better time. There cannot be a better time for a man who has worked and has his wages for 1, 2, 3, 4 months to demand that his wages for work done be paid. There cannot be a better time.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, Dr. Mohammed. I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but we've completely run out of time. I take your center point, which is that there cannot be a better time than now. It seems to me that the Association of Resident Doctors are going to be sticking to their guns. Thank you very much, Dr. Bilkis Mohammed, immediate past Secretary General of NAD. And I also want to thank you as well, Dario Odufo. Thank you very much, editor of The Nation, staying with us on the program. Really appreciate you. And we appreciate all our callers as well. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. Do everything the doctors say we should be doing. Mask up. Don't be in crowds. Wash your hands as frequently as you can, and generally stay safe. My name is Yori Folari. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye for now.